Hi everyone, my name is Johanna and I am from Switzerland, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about relationship with Jesus, and I just want to go into my personal relationship with God and how He touched my heart and how I met Him personally. And so it's just a little bit about my background. I grew up in Switzerland. I grew up in a Christian family, and so all my life pretty much I went to church. My parents took me to church. I read my Bible, I prayed every night before going to bed, and so God was always an important part of my life. But yet, I would say my whole life I always believed in God, but I didn't always have a personal relationship with Him. And today I just want to talk to you guys about that. There's a difference between knowing about a God, knowing about someone, and really knowing somebody deep in your heart. And so I grew up, and as I was a teenager, when I was 13 years old, I remember a moment where I was all by myself in my bedroom and I was listening to a sermon, and the sermon was all about the life of Jesus and who Jesus is today and how He wants to use us today in our lives and how He wants to have a personal relationship with us. And the guy that was speaking, that was doing the sermon, he was just talking about all those different things that Jesus still does today and how He still touches people, how He still encounters people today. And as I was listening to that, it just stirred up a hunger in my heart to really know Jesus personally and to follow Him with my whole life, to follow Him with my whole heart. And suddenly something in my heart was awakened where I was like, this is not just about a religion or about a God or a formula, but there's actually that Jesus that I've been hearing about all my life. That Jesus is actually real and alive, and He wants to have a relationship with me today. And I want to encourage you guys with that. Whoever you are, wherever you're watching right now, God wants to have a personal relationship with you. And so going back into that story, that's really the moment where God started to touch my heart. And that's the moment where I fully gave my life to Jesus. And I said, God, you can have my life. You can have my whole heart. I want to follow you with my life. I want to spend my life with you and for you and through you, because I could tell that this is the only satisfying life. That's the best life that I could ever live. And so I gave my life to Jesus at that point. And through that decision, Jesus really started to change my heart. And suddenly, I could tell there was people in my life that I didn't like before, people that I just hated in my heart. Some of them were teachers at school, for example. But at the moment where Jesus came into my heart, He just started to change those things. Suddenly I had this love in my heart for people I didn't love before. And He started to change and transform my heart. And I had that peace in my heart and that peace in my life that I didn't have before. And so I grew older, and as I was 18 years old, I moved to the United States, to California, to do a Bible school there for 3 years. And as I was in my second year, I was dating a guy at that time. I had a boyfriend, and God spoke to me really clearly to end this relationship. And back then, I was 19 years old at the time. Back then, that was really hard for me. But I had this desire in my heart to just obey God, to follow His voice. And I knew He had spoken so clearly to me. And so, long story short, I broke up with that guy. I just gave it all to Jesus. I gave it to Him. But at the same time, I was such a mess inside, and I was so broken inside, so heartbroken and disappointed, and just left with so many questions. I was like, I don't understand why that happened. I don't understand, God, why you asked me to do this. Why would you take something from me that's so good? That's how I was thinking back then. But here's what I want to tell you. I had, in that time, about 2 or 3 weeks after the breakup, I had the most marking and radical encounter with God in my own life. And it was a night in October. It was October 8th, 2015. And I was sitting outside all by myself. It was already dark, and I could see the stars in the sky. And I was just sitting there in the grass, and I was just processing with God and pouring my heart out to God. And I just said to God, God, I don't understand why this happened, and this is how I feel, and I feel so heartbroken. I feel so sad and just messed up inside. And I was weeping and just really being honest with God, because I knew I could. I knew that he can handle my honesty. He can handle where I'm at. And so as I was sitting there weeping, I suddenly had this strong vision And suddenly, like I cannot even tell you guys if it was just a super strong vision or if I actually saw it with my natural eyes. But I suddenly saw this face in front of me. It was this face in the sky, and I knew it was the face of Jesus. And I looked into his eyes. I saw his eyes, and I just saw this love, this peace, and this joy pouring out of his eyes. It was just overflowing out of him. And in that moment, you gotta understand, like 10 minutes before, I was so heartbroken and such a mess. But suddenly in that moment, as I saw the face of Jesus, the only thought that went through my mind was like, wow, Jesus, I would give up everything for you. Like seeing your face for just 2 seconds, seeing your beauty, the beauty in your eyes for just 2 seconds makes it worth giving up everything for. That was literally my only thought. And see, it didn't make sense in my mind because I would have never wanted to give up that boyfriend. I would have never wanted to give up that person that I loved so much at that time. But when I saw the eyes and the face of Jesus, the only natural response was like, God, I will give up anything for you because you're so beautiful and you're so worth it. And in that moment, I started to like taste something of the beauty and the goodness of God. And it just awakened the hunger inside of my heart to get to know him better. And you know, like I know so many people. I have great friends in my life and a great family, but I've never looked at a person and thought I would give up anything for that person. I've never thought that, even though I love him. But Jesus, he's the only one that I've ever looked at and saw, like I've seen his face, and I thought I want to give up everything for him because it's so worth it. And after that encounter, God just took me on a journey to really get to know him better. And I feel in that time so many things that I had known in my head about God actually started to become a reality in my heart. And I was like, God, I start to get to know you. Like I start to discover who you are. And I was so hungry for more of him and so hungry to just get to know him better. And I want to pray over you right now as you're watching this. I just pray over you that same hunger will be awakened over you. And I pray over your heart to just hunger and thirst to really know God deep in your heart, in Jesus' name. Because that's what he has available for you. That's what he has in store for you. And there's another moment I want to just touch on briefly. I was doing a ministry school in America, and one day in one of the classes, I was just sitting there, I had my eyes closed, and God started to show me this vision of the little laundry room that we had in our house. And there was this laundry room and the washing machine was there. And sometimes in the mornings I would go into that room to just hang out with Jesus, to just be with him alone. And I had this vision of the washing machine, and I saw a heart that was burning on top of the washing machine in the vision. And God spoke to me in that moment, and he just said, like, Johanna, would you start giving me your mornings? Like, would you start giving me the times in your morning to just come seek me in that little laundry room? And he promised me that out of that time, my heart would start to burn in a new way, and that fire would come out of that intimacy with him. And there's even another moment one night when I just had this night reserved to really be with Jesus, to spend time with him. And I had I had some candles put up in my room. I had a scarf put over some light bulbs just to create a bit of a nicer atmosphere because I like it personally. And so I was sitting at my piano and I was playing this song for Jesus. I was just singing him a love song. And as I was playing and singing, I suddenly started to smell smoke. It started to smell a little bit like fire. And first I was like, oh wow, that's so cool. And I just kept singing. And then a little later, I actually discovered that the scarf that I had put over the light bulbs started to burn a little bit because it was too hot. But in that moment, God again, he just spoke to me personally. And he said to me like, Johanna, fire will come out of intimacy. When you love me, when we're in love together, that's where fire comes from. That's where fire flows from. And I know that there's so much that God has in store for me and for you as we are living in that personal and intimate relationship with Jesus. And I really encourage you, just pursue God. If you don't know how to do this, then just start simple. It's so simple actually. Just come before Jesus and just ask him like, Jesus, I wanna find you. Show me where you are right now. Help me to find you right now. And God will respond to the heart cry inside of you. He will respond to whatever is in your heart. And you can live in this personal relationship with Jesus, and it's the most satisfying and best thing ever. Like, I believe that our main purpose actually on the planet is to live in relationship with the one who created us. It's to live in relationship with the one who made us, with the one who loved us. That's why God put Adam and Eve on the earth. He wanted to be in relationship with those human beings that he created. And he loved them so much. And he loves you and I with that same love. Our main purpose, the most satisfying thing in life, is to be in a relationship with Jesus. It's not even so much the fruit of it. Like, fruit will follow and miracles will happen and people will get touched through us as we're living in that relationship with him. That's all a fruit of it. But our main focus is always Jesus, and our main focus is always to know Jesus and to love him. And out of that place, all the other things will flow, and miracles will flow, and people will get touched, and he will talk to us, and he will lead us to other people. And so yeah, I just pray that a fresh hunger in your heart for a relationship with Jesus over you. And I'm excited to see what God will do with and through you. Bless you guys.